You know, technical production really brings a lot of pomp and pizzazz to a show. But at its core, it's really meant to play a supporting role, to aid in the storytelling. You're only supposed to notice it when you're meant to, but if it was gone, you'd really appreciate its importance. Lighting is obviously a huge, important piece. We'll run hundreds of lights in a show. We're certified for LEEDs, which is a power and energy certification. So we had to go with an LED light. So we took that leap into LED through the whole rig. They're ETC lusters. Because they will color change and they do some other tricks, we can actually replace 2 or 3 regular lights with these one LED lights. So it helps us in power consumption. It also helps our lighting designers and our artists have that creative tool to make our shows that much better. If you're up in the catwalks, you'll see everything's quite steep. And the idea is that you're shooting down at the stage, not sideways across the auditorium. Our designers and crew spent a lot of time deciding where these lights need to go to have the most effectiveness on stage. And one of those key positions is right down the center. You can convert a warehouse or an arena or a badminton court. You can hang lights, but you're always at the mercy of the physicality of the building. Where we got to decide where we wanted fixtures before we built the building. This catwalk system allows us to reach almost every single light we're gonna have in our rig and every speaker we're gonna have and every special effect we're gonna have just by walking up to them. There's no special equipment needed, there's no ladders needed. That's really gonna speed up the process. It really ties the whole thing together. Another really important lighting feature we have here is our moving headlights. So this is one of them here. This is a high-end theater fixture. That's the brand. These are silent, they're liquid cooled. We needed to make sure we weren't detracting from the acoustics in order to get the correct lighting fixture. When we do that, we support the art. These will spin around, tilt up and down, change the color, we can change the beam shape. A lighting designer is going to have so much more at their fingertips with equipment like this, and they're going to be able to give the director what they want. Sometimes you need more than just color changing and movement. Sometimes you need the human factor, and that's where traditionally a follow spot would come in. Traditional follow spots are large, they're bulky, they're noisy, they're hot. So we thought out with the old and in with the new, and we went with the Robospot system. This system takes a moving light and it's controlled by a tactile console, and the operator moves that console around and they can follow the performer around the stage. It eliminates all the negativity around traditional large follow spots. You know, one of the biggest moments in a show, and you may not even know it, is the top of the performance. You can picture it, audience is trickling in, anticipation is mounting, the cast and crew are getting ready backstage, and at just the right moment, the house is gonna fade. Above us are about 50 or so pot lights, and that's our house light system. These have a true, smooth fade to zero, and as they do, there's other LED diodes inside that come on that warm the light up to help us achieve that one magical moment at the top of the show. Here at the Patterson, we have an elongated thrust stage. Now, this is the largest thrust stage we have at the festival. We spent a lot of time designing the shape and designing the fitment within this room so you could have the artistic impact. and it's really the crowning jewel of this whole room. The deck we're looking at now is what we call our house show deck. We can take off this hardwood and put down other floors in the event a show requires it. So we went through months of testing, looked at different lumbers, looked at different stains, different paints, and our scene shop would make mock-ups. We'd bring it into a rehearsal hall, we'd put it under theater light, and there'd be a group of 20 of us looking at a small 4x8 piece of lumber. And we finally landed on what you see here, which is Canadian birch with a really unique stain mix. So the shop went looking, and we couldn't find Canadian birch hardwood. We had some scraps of it around the shop to sample, and then when we had to find 1,000 square feet of it, didn't exist. So we ended up buying a woodlot. We bought the trees, and we had the trees milled into this stage. We've had to build a lot of tricks into this. One of the major features is the sound system that's in the set itself. It's comprised of several speakers that runs around the ring, so it helps deliver sound to the front rows. It also aids in sound effects. So if we're in a battle scene, maybe the battle starts upstage and it moves downstage. We want that sound to travel with us. This is actually a micro perf steel that allows us to hide the speakers behind it. It's painted to look exactly like the wood. We can install lights as well. We run in repertory. So everything needs to change, and it needs to change quickly. So that's why you'll see when you look down, you'll see the modules. So these come up in about 4x8 chunks. So our crews would come out, they'd remove this top layer, and they'd put down a new top layer. Maybe it's just a black dance floor. So another reason we need to go modular is below us there is a trap room. And that's where some of that theater magic really happens. On some stages you'll see a center trap door. Here, we can put that trap anywhere we want. For instance, this module here, where we remove it and put doors in, a grave or an elevator, something like that. But we could alternatively put it here or up here or all four. One of the other major components of the stage is the stage house. Each piece in this stage house is also modular. This balcony itself can actually travel downstage during a show or as a preset. This has hidden walls. So this might be one look. As you change the set over, you may decide you want extra walls on the stage house. And this would be an example here where we would bring these walls in and totally change the look and function of the set. These panels though, like everything, are removable. So if these just slide out, we put a new panel in, we can totally change the look of the set. There's no bad seat in this house. There are different seats, and that's exciting because when you purchase a seat in here, you're gonna get a totally different perspective audibly, visually, from different seats in the house. But nothing's gonna be bad. It's just gonna be spectacularly different. While I'm not a performer, I can certainly say from a technical perspective, there's so much more real estate to work from and so many more viewpoints that every lighting angle, every sound angle, every special effect needs to be considered from so many different viewpoints. And it really does make you step up your game in order to tech a show like that. The acoustics in the Patterson are really second to none. It's designed to embolden the human voice. It's designed to keep distraction out and to keep the drama in. Everything from the HVAC systems to silent operating lights, it all came down to how this room sounds. And for that, we need a little more than just room acoustics. We need a proper PA system. Traditionally, that's rock and roll. That's big, bulky rock and roll. And we couldn't do that here. So one of our suppliers, D&B Audio Technics, provided us with a brand new technology in their lineup. And we're one of the first in the world to use it. And this system gives us the opportunity to use small speakers and hide them up in the darkness and get that amazing sound quality and dispersion that we were looking for. So we have speakers that live along the wall. We talked about the speakers that live along the stage. These are all being used to create an atmosphere that you can't get any other way. One of the major components of this system is what drives it, the Digico SD7. It's a beautiful console, but it has some tricks in it that we absolutely require on a stage like this. Picture this, a singer is entering upstage. The time it takes from my voice to hit the first row takes a certain amount of time, but the speakers that are much closer to them will hit them first. And that can create an echo effect and can be very distracting. So we can fix that quite easily with processing. But it gets complicated when I start moving. So we need to do that on the fly. We need to be able to change that relationship for every seat in the house, for every performer on stage on the fly, just to make everything sound natural. A theater space evolves in its lifetime. It only gets better, more efficient, more creative. We want to bring that soul and that life into the room, and that only happens when there's art happening. And we haven't had that yet.